The Minecraft movie is such a mess. And I can't even lie to you guys, I didn't even enjoy it ironically. Now, I honestly had absolutely no intention of watching this film at all, especially after seeing that god-awful trailer all those months ago. I'm not even particularly the biggest Minecraft fan. I used to play it all the time when I was a kid, but at some point I sort of just grew out of it. Not to say that Minecraft is a game for kids, but that I personally lost interest in it at around 16 or 17 years old and could never really fully get back into the game since. But one of you guys asked me to review this movie along with another terrible set of movies that I have yet to see myself. So even though I wanted this movie to just come and go without me ever having to put myself through it, I hopped right in and watched it because you really wanted me to see this. Now, the reviews on this movie are pretty split. Critics gave this movie some awful reviews while the general public seemed to actually enjoy it. I was hearing that people had genuine fun with this movie on social media and from friends, and it kind of made me a little more hopeful for the experience. But yeah, no guys, this movie actually sucks ass, I'm sorry. And I realize I can't just say that and end the video, obviously, so we're gonna go through the entire movie and I'm gonna explain to you guys why I didn't have a good time with this. So this movie starts with the nostalgic piano song we remember so vividly from our Minecraft childhood, and immediately I was like, oh my god, I'm so ready for this movie, because the little kid in me got excited. Everyone who played that game remembers those beautiful keys, man. They pulled me right in with the fan service there, but it's almost immediately ripped away from me once Jack Black starts talking. Well, I mean, not immediately, I suppose, but it does eventually, because this man's intro dialogue is fucking 6 minutes long. So basically, Jack Black is narrating some backstory about himself for us. His name is Steve, you know, the main guy you play as in Minecraft, and he apparently really wanted to go into the mines as a kid, but obviously he was too young for that, so he couldn't. When he got older, he got a regular boring desk job until he remembered the mines again and went back to them. And this time, he couldn't be stopped. And we get one of the only scenes I thought was kind of funny. So he mines for a bit until he stumbles upon artifacts that open a portal to the overworld, or the Minecraft universe. And to be honest, the world looks kinda sick. Everything looked pretty goofy in the trailers, but I feel like they did a pretty good job capturing what the Minecraft universe looks like in this movie. Mostly, anyway. Yeah, the creatures still make me incredibly uncomfortable. They look weird, man, ugh. But overall, as this little sequence plays out for the next 6 minutes, I think they cover the most important need-to-knows for people not familiar with the Minecraft world decently well and quickly. There's some filler stuff in there, but it's mostly fine. Anyway, life is great for Steve until he accidentally stumbles upon the Nether, which, if you don't know, is a very bad world in Minecraft. And when he goes there, he gets taken by the bad guy of this movie, Malgosia, and she takes the orb so that she can pillage the overworld. Steve and Dennis, Steve's wolf, yeah, I should have probably mentioned that Steve got a wolf earlier because it's kind of important to this dumbass storyline, get locked up, break out, and Steve sends Dennis back to the real world with the orb to hide it so that Malgosia can't have it, and the portal closes. Now, at this point, the movie isn't really that bad yet, but listening to Jack Black exaggeratedly narrate the backstory for this movie for 6 minutes straight was really tiresome. Like, damn, can we just get to the movie already? I don't want to listen to this man in the background for this long. But after all this stuff, we get introduced to Jason Momoa's character, Garrett, who I kind of admittedly love. He's this huge dork that used to be a well-known gamer because he was the king of this old co-op game. He thinks he's the coolest thing in the world, but he's clearly washed up and a nobody now, and everyone sees him as a normal weirdo.
Garrett the garbage man Garrison?
No autographs.
Have a nice day.
I think Jason plays this character really well, and it's honestly one of the few things that's fun to watch in this movie. He's just really goofy, and a real highlight in this movie where things don't really shine that often. Anyways, he works in a game store and learns while he's in there that he's being evicted, so his whole world falls apart right there. So he goes to a storage auction and bids on a storage unit, hoping to find something good enough to sell to get afloat again.
I wouldn't cash that for about 6 months.
What? Wait, you can do that? No, seriously, I'm genuinely asking, because how the hell is he gonna bid for something he most certainly doesn't have the money for, win, and then, even temporarily, take the potentially cool stuff that all these other people could have paid for with actual money. So he enters the unit and opens a box expecting to find this old game console that would be worth a fortune now, but there's nothing in it besides some junk and a glowing blue cube. And I only emphasize this part so much because literally no one notices that thing fall out of the box. That shit is literally sparkling, and no one even bats an eye until Garrett finally spots it once everyone leaves. Now, I get it. If I saw a cube like that flop out of a box, I would think it's either a Transformers Tesseract or an Avengers Infinity Stone. And either way, I would probably run from that shit like the plague because both of those things were bad news. So I'd probably turn a blind eye too, I guess. But still, come on, bro. No one saw that? Garrett drives away all upset and his car breaks down. Then we cut to the most boring protagonists ever, Henry and Natalie, driving to their new home in Chugless because their mom passed away before the start of this movie. By the way, this never really gets talked about again after the beginning of the movie. They may just be some of the least memorable things about this movie, especially Natalie. Both of them have meh acting, honestly. It's kind of hard to sit through a lot of the time. This town is apparently the chip capital of the United States, and Natalie secured a job at the chip factory. They meet up with this real estate agent, Dawn, at their new place, and she's kind of just forcibly thrown into the rest of this movie after this moment. She doesn't really have a comfortable spot in the film and adds pretty much nothing. If we're talking about least memorable characters, she's definitely at the #1 spot. Also, one of the jokes coming up is a great example of how like every joke in this movie feels. They all feel like they're supposed to be a laugh track underneath to make us think things are actually funny, even when they aren't.
Love you too.
It smells like banana bread and poo.
Anyways, Henry goes out to Garrett's game store to look at some stuff with this weird-ass tater tot pizza that Natalie made for him to give out to people at school to make friends. Oh, come on, man. Why'd you open it like that? In what world is doing this easier than just pulling back the foil? So Garrett and Henry yap for a bit, and then Henry heads over to school, where we get some more laugh track jokes.
You know, the fire went out on our marriage 20 years ago, but we stuck it out for the dogs.
Also, they dragged poor Jennifer Coolidge into this, damn. So the main jokes that come in here are the adults complaining about how bad their adult life is, and it's just such an overused trope in kids' movies that it just drags on. And it isn't in a funny and creative way like in the Incredibles movies either. It's just blatant, my husband left me, or I have so much debt, and blah, 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 whatever. So in class, Henry's teacher asked the class to draw a still life of some fruit, and Henry draws a banana with a jetpack, which looks pretty fucking awesome, by the way. But the teacher and the class roast and laugh at him for it for some reason, which in this day and age doesn't make much sense, but okay. Then they call out how the jetpack wouldn't actually work anyway, which that's a weird thing to comment on. But what's even weirder is that right after this, Henry makes the jetpack to prove a point. Excuse me? Why did anyone let him get access to all of this dangerous stuff? And where did he learn to build a functioning jetpack? And how did he manage to convince the entire class to watch him shoot this thing off? And why are they all excitedly counting down the launch after roasting him the whole time? What the fuck is going on? And what's even more stupid is the fact that just because the jetpack crashes after flying, they all act like he's a huge disappointment. Dude, I don't care what it crashed into. That thing was fully functional until then and was made by a child. Assholes. But yeah, it crashes into the chip mascot of the town's chip factory, so everyone freaks the fuck out because that thing was sort of important. The principal explains that Henry has to call his guardian about what happened and that he might be expelled, so he calls Garrett? When the hell did he get his number? He asks him to pretend to be his uncle, so Garrett shows up and does that.
Garbage man, huh? Oh, you can bag me up and take me to the curb anytime. But you gotta bungee the lid, cause I got a lot of raccoons in there.
I thought this was supposed to be a kid's movie. What in the fuck? Ugh. They go back to Garrett's shop where Henry spots the Tesseract thing from the beginning of the movie and they activate it. Back at home, Natalie is freaking out because Henry is missing, so she calls Dawn for help. She said she had no idea who else to call. Maybe you could start with, I don't know, the police? Literally anyone else that could actually be somewhat helpful. Do you see what I mean when I say this woman is extremely forced into the plot? And for whatever reason, she knows he's the one that destroyed the chip? Man, I don't know what's happening anymore. She ends up tracking Henry's phone somehow, and the whole team winds up at the mine shaft with the portal in it. Then the cube yoinks them into the overworld. And I think this would probably be a good time to mention the pacing, because it really is pretty horrendous in this movie. Either we get scenes that feel like forever, like Jack Black narrating in the beginning, or long sequences that feel like an ad for Minecraft. We zoom through the plot at lightning speed like we are right now. We really spent the first 8 minutes on Jack Black narration, and all of this other stuff is just forced into the next 18. Truly, this film is a mess. So the group explores the world for a bit while a Minecraft villager sneaks out of the portal to give us one of the most disgusting and uncomfortable subplots in movie history. I'm not gonna talk about this for long, but basically this villager ends up in the real world and meets the principal, and they go on a date, and it looks like they might end up fucking at some point as the movie goes on, and it's gross. They don't fuck, by the way, thank God. Every time it cut to those two together, I had a panic attack. It wasn't funny, it was just icky. Malgosha and Steve learn that the cube has arrived in the overworld, so Malgosha sends Steve out to fetch it. Why she doesn't just send her goons or do it herself, I don't know. There was absolutely zero chance he wasn't gonna betray her. Meanwhile, nighttime comes for the group and all the evil mobs spawn and chase them down. Now, this scene is kind of fun because it's so fucking goofy, particularly Jason Momoa and his freaked out screaming, but it also kind of looks like it was produced by Nick Jr. sometimes, and I can't unsee that. So Henry runs into a tree and accidentally realizes he can break and collect wood, so he gets more and more and makes a whole base for everyone to safely get into. There's no way he had time to collect as much wood as he's placing with just his bare hand though, but I'll just let that slide, I guess. It's definitely weird that he had enough time to actually craft something so big though, considering the creatures were right on top of them. While he's doing that, Garrett climbs out of a hole that he fell in and gets blown up by a creeper.
Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry.
I still can't get over those screams, dude. And oh my God, those zombies are massacring that sheep. So when Henry fell over, he dropped the cube. So Garrett picks it up as he's running to their base for safety. A skeleton shoots it out of his hand and breaks the outer glass case, or the earth crystal. Okay, which was needed to keep the portal open, so it powers down. Garrett manages to get in safely with the remaining part of the cube, but a creeper blows up the base and the mobs file in. All hope is nearly lost until Steve randomly shows up and saves the day with a diamond pickaxe, some WWE stuff, and the power of the sun. I kind of like this part actually. It's still goofy, but it's fun. And then we get that one infamous line from the trailer.
Who are you?
I am Steve.
It's actually not as bad as it seemed in the first trailer. Feels a little bit more fitting in context. Also, they yap for a while about what the plan is gonna be to get everyone out, and they obviously don't trust this random Steve person, but they decide to trust him anyway because...
He did just kill like 20 zombies.
More like 15, but okay.
Wait, hold on. 1, 2, 3. Okay, that might be 4, but I can't tell if that's just the second one after standing up again. And this isn't 5 and 6 because they died to the sun. So he killed 4 zombies? Where the hell did they get 20 or 15? I guess they probably thought he spawned all that fire. I don't know. I guess I could understand that if you don't know how the overworld works yet. We get a 10-minute Minecraft ad after all this as Steve shows them around and takes them to get gear for their future endeavors. And I'm serious too. This part of the movie just feels like watching someone giving a tour through a Minecraft museum. It's just Jack Black explaining different Minecraft characters and objects. And then there's the lava chicken song.
La 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 lava, chicken. Steve's lava chicken, yes, tasty as hell.
Yeah, this is dumb. And the random out of place songs happen more than just here in the movie too, and they're all equally annoying. I do appreciate that this section is somewhat fun fan service for Minecraft fans though. Some of it is subtle and some of it is blatant, but all of it seems mostly harmless to me. Oh, also in between this, we cut back to Malgosha and...
Hey, Malgosha, what's going on?
Your old dungeon buddy Steve has betrayed us.
Oh, wow. Who would have thought Steve would betray you? Crazy, right? There's also this sort of emotional scene where Natalia tells Steve that being creative in the real world is frowned upon, which, no it isn't. And that Henry's creativity caused major problems on Earth, and Henry overhears and gets upset. I only mention this because she's gonna apologize for this statement at the end of the movie, and I felt like it was kind of important to say, but all of this is dumb to me, so it doesn't actually matter much, I guess. There's not a whole lot of emotional weight because these characters are so one-dimensional and boring. This is also where Dawn and Natalie split up from the rest of the group because Natalie feels they need a map. So Steve takes Garrett and Henry to a crafting table and they make weapons for themselves. Garrett makes these massive bucket nunchucks and Henry makes, tater tot gun? Okay. Garrett talks to Steve in private and learns there's a spot in the complete opposite direction of their objective to get a bunch of treasure, so they decide that they'll head there next without Henry's approval. Garrett essentially says he won't give up the cube if they don't get to the riches. Natalie and Dawn are asking around for a map when suddenly the piglins, Malgosha's minions, invade the village everyone's in. People fight, villagers die, and
Malgosha double-crossed me.
she double-crossed you? Hello? But like I said, everyone fights the piglins, and it's kind of weird because I'm not sure where these people learn their combat skills from. Like, the main cast, aside from Garrett. Yeah, the whole main cast are suddenly ninjas and are duking it out with these things no problem, but whatever. This is a kid's movie, so I guess I can't nitpick that too much. All things considered, this scene is fun too. As usual though, Jason Momoa is carrying. Here, Natalie spots Henry escaping with the guys and isn't able to regroup with them because they haven't found a map yet, so their official separation begins here. The guys reach a cliff and jump off with wingsuits, gliding to the next location. Steve only brought 2, so he has to ride on top of Garrett. While they're flying, they are chased by different mobs from the Nether. This scene is also kind of fun. I don't remember thinking it was entertaining the first time I watched it. Yeah, as usual, it's goofy, but the action sequence and Minecraft elements are sorta cool actually. And the part where Garrett and Steve have to hold each other nose to toes is so silly, but I kind of like it. Wait, do I not hate this movie as much as I thought I did? Now don't get me wrong, I'm not saying I liked it, but as I'm writing the script, I feel like I'm realizing that this was actually a little more tolerable than I remember. It's still dumb though. Anyways, everyone falls out of the sky and Steve breaks their fall with water from a water bucket. Then we get, no, I already talked about how much I hate this, skip! Steve explains that apparently Malgosha is evil because as a child, she was super creative and talented, but she was ridiculed by the town and her parents for it, so she grew up rejecting creativity. And now she wants the orb so that she can bring the Nether into the nice world so that it can all turn dark and boring. Now, I understand why they keep trying to force this everyone hates creativity agenda for a movie about Minecraft, but it doesn't feel realistic to me, especially in a world where so many people live off of content creation. Yeah, this is a nitpick, and I'm not saying this makes the movie worse, but I can't buy that the majority of people just think creative people suck. But who knows, maybe I was just lucky to be surrounded by creative people who uplift each other and the rest of the world just isn't like that. We cut back to Natalie and Dawn talking about how being adults sucks before they are suddenly greeted by a red-eyed wolf. Dawn tames it with a random bone laying on the ground. Wait, one bone? One? Man, it never just takes one bone for me to tame those damn wolves. Anyway, apparently this dog is Dennis. Now, wait a minute. How come Dennis is just a random wild wolf in the overworld now? Last we saw him, he was still very much Dennis. Did I miss something? Did him coming back into the overworld remove the ownership? Is there a Minecraft mechanic that I'm just unfamiliar with that makes this make sense? I'm confused. Whatever. Dennis says he can take the 2 of them to Steve, so they follow him. They then disappear for a decent amount of the movie. Back with the guys, they find the riches Garrett was looking for. Henry gets pissed because this is not where they were supposed to go, and because Natalie could be in danger alone, and then they rush out on a minecart because they realize a very large piglin is coming after them. On the rails, they run out of redstone, and Steve's torch that was lighting their path goes out. When he relights it, the group is surrounded by creepers in a creeper farm? Now, like I said, I haven't played Minecraft in years, and I was never a die-hard Minecraft fan, I guess. So maybe I'm gonna sound stupid for asking this, but why would anyone need a fucking creeper farm? For gunpowder? Why would you need to farm a bunch of gunpowder? Like, I know the things you could use it for, but I can't for the life of me understand why you would need a whole farm of creepers to get the materials. But like I said, I might just be a low-tier Minecraft player and not get it, so I can't even attack Steve for this. It just seems insane. The group sees redstone further down the rails, so Garrett pushes the cart to it and they make their narrow escape as all the creepers explode behind them. When they get out of the cart, Henry gets mad at Garrett because of what he did, and Garrett explains to him that his life is sad and that he really needs that money and that he's super alone and...
You weren't alone. I was your friend.
Okay, this movie has not shown us nearly enough for this line to make sense or hit at all. These two barely know each other and have done the bare minimum together. Friend is an incredibly strong word. This little sob scene is pretty meaningless. It just holds no weight, just like pretty much every deep conversation between characters in this movie. So the guys make it to their destination, a mansion, and create a plan to snag the Earth Crystal. And a part of this plan requires Steve and Garrett to... sing and dance in front of the guards of its first floor as a distraction. Yeah, this was just an excuse to force another song into this movie. Henry gets spotted while sneaking, and Garrett and Steve get captured for being terrible distractions. Henry narrowly escapes into the room with the Earth Crystal, and Steve and Garrett end up in a wrestling match with a chicken? Now, even if you haven't already seen this movie, you've probably heard about the infamous chicken jockey scene.
Chicken jockey!
This scene automatically leaves a bad taste in my mouth because it's just horrendous that kids completely fucking trashed movie theaters tossing their concessions around because of it. Like, why? I don't understand the reason. Even after watching the scene in context of the movie myself, it's not that funny or exciting, even if you get the reference to Minecraft. I guess it's sort of funny in a childlike kind of way, but not enough to be throwing around food and drinks. Whatever, this scene is silly. There's a fun little camera move when Jason gets clapped by the zombie though, and overall it's not really a bad scene either. It's goofy fun watching Garrett get fucked up until Steve is able to help him win the fight. Am I really not hating some of these scenes as much as I did originally? Shit, I can't believe my rating is actively going up the more I add to this review. Also, during all this, Henry finds the crystal but is greeted by an Enderman. And honestly, the whole scene of him getting lost in its eyes and seeing the demented versions of his companions is cool as fuck, I'm not gonna lie. The little dolly zooms with the creepy voices talking is pretty sick, and I'm not entirely immune to cool stuff, even in a movie this stupid. What isn't cool is how easily this kid beats a teleporting Enderman without taking any damage after only fighting one for the first time now. I'm not saying I wanted the kid to bleed or die, but he should have got smacked at least once or twice. Real first-time Minecraft players definitely got sauced at least a little bit by Enderman. Come on, man. Whatever. He gets an Ender Pearl from killing the Enderman, breaks through the floor beneath him, which just so happens to be where Steve and Garrett are, and they all just leave the building. I don't know why all the guards, or Vindicators, since that's what they're actually called, just let them waltz right out, but whatever. We see them sort of chasing them on their way out, but I don't know. They were absolutely surrounded in that ring, so if you ask me, those guys weren't actually trying all that hard to stop them. While they're crossing the bridge to leave, Malgosha appears. She takes the cube away with this magical staff thing, takes off, and leaves a bunch of piglins with TNT on the bridge. So Garrett tosses Henry onto a nearby flying ghast, which, holy shit, Garrett, that kid could have very easily died if he didn't catch that set of planks. You could have at least warned him that you were going to do that instead of just saying sorry and chucking the poor child. Steve drops a slime cube on the ground and uses it to get himself on the same platform, and Garrett sacrifices himself for absolutely no reason.
Garrett, you don't have to do this!
Exactly, Henry. So Garrett fights on the bridge until it explodes and he dies. Yeah, I'm just kidding. He obviously doesn't die here. Absolutely no one fell for this. Henry and Steve crash land onto the ground and get knocked out, then wake up in a mushroom with Dawn, Natalie, and Dennis. And yeah, it really just happens that way. They disappeared for like 15 minutes of the movie and just appear here now after finding them off screen. That's cool, I guess. It's honestly better than having to sit through their actual adventures, since those two may just be the most boring characters in the entire movie. Anyway, we get a scene of Steve being happy to be reunited with Dennis, and Natalie apologizing to Henry about what she said earlier, and it doesn't have any emotional impact as usual, so whatever. So Malgosha puts the cube into a big laser thing, and it makes the world dark like they said it would earlier. Our heroes get hyped up and decide they're going to go and stop her before she destroys the world.
First we mine, then we craft. Let's Minecraft!
Jesus fucking Christ, man. Also, they let Henry make the plan to stop Malgosha, and he plans out all these Minecraft items he most certainly shouldn't already know about. Like, when the hell did he learn about the Boots of Swiftness? How is Henry so familiar with the items of this world all of a sudden? Yeah, I know that's nitpicky, but if you guys are still watching and didn't take in the fact that some of the fun of these is pointing out specific dumb shit, then you're just not paying attention. Speaking of dumb shit, somehow Steve manages to get diamonds in a mine by digging straight down, enough to make a ton of weapons, all before the world ends. And yeah, okay, buddy. I don't think I even have to say why this is all impossible. And Henry makes an iron golem out of the Boots of Swiftness, and maybe this is something you can do in the game, but it doesn't quite seem right to me, so I'm calling bullshit on that. Anyway, the battle begins. Rah! Bink, bonk, bop. Pow! Honestly, this fight is sort of underwhelming and boring to me. It honestly sort of just reminds me of Skibidi Toilet, and yes, I have seen Skibidi Toilet, and we all know by now how I felt about that series. There's a couple of goofy and fun things I kind of like though, like Steve fighting Malgosha by throwing eggs at her, or this scene right here when the Swiftness Golem runs through the crowd swinging his arms. This is so dumb, bro. Henry enderpearls his way up to the cube, but gets shot down by the big piglin. But then, oh my god, Garrett comes to the rescue before he falls. Yeah! This was the most predictable thing ever. I'm not hype at all. Turn off the triumphant music, stop the cheering, let's just move on already. They used the flying gas Garrett came in with to destroy the portal. They snagged the orb and yay, the fight is over. Woo! Yeah. Okay, now wait, because we're actually about to get the one and only part of the movie I genuinely find hilarious. I watched this with a couple of my friends and two of us could not stop laughing here.
Do you have a little knife that you're gonna try to stab me with?
No, I'm too weak.
Come on!
Nah, that shit will never not be funny. And it happens more than once too. Like she pulls two more knives on him and it just never works. This is the one scene I can say was actually priceless. So everyone decides to leave, Steve included, but not before we get one more dumbass song from Jack Black that we didn't need.
Go now, Dennis. Change Don's life, Dennis.
Can we stop with the random songs, please? Oh, also, I don't know why I never mentioned this at the beginning of the review, but Garrett has this character thing where he says Spanish stuff that doesn't mean what he thinks it means the whole movie.
Vaya con Dios. It means goodbye, brother.
It's never really funny. It's kind of dumb every time, but I felt like since it's a constant, I should probably say something about it, but it doesn't really add much, so meh. Anyway, the movie ends with everyone coming together at Garrett's shop and making the place cool. Let me get one more goddamn song. And oh my god, look at that kid in the front. That child does not know what the fuck is going on. There's one thing that I thought about though that doesn't really make any sense to me. They mentioned that Henry was supposed to be going to juvie, and then he just went into the world and came back, and what, is he just not going to juvie anymore? I don't know, that was one thing I just thought about after writing this whole thing and I just forgot, so I'm just saying it now. It was weird and I don't know. There's also an end credit scene for the diehard Minecraft fans where Steve meets the other main playable character from the game, and I'm just so sure that all those fans creamed their little boy shorts after seeing that. So, do I hate this movie? No, I don't. Upon rewatch, I actually had slightly more fun with it than I did the first time I saw it. It's still a dumb movie. The characters are not easy to care about, and the plot is pretty paper thin, even when you consider the fact that it's a kid's movie. I just feel like if you have access to the world of Minecraft, you could make something significantly more fun and compelling than this movie. I can see why people, kids especially, had a fun time with this movie. It's got some fun stuff happening, fan service, and that old school overacting vibe that works for child television. And the Minecraft world and mob designs are pretty solid too, even though it can be sort of haunting to look at. If I was 5 and this movie came out around the same time as Cat in the Hat, Spy Kids, or Shark Boy and Lava Girl, I'd probably love this movie. But we all know that watching those movies back now in 2025, or just as adults, does not hit the same. For me, this style of movie feels a bit outdated. Maybe I'm just old, I don't know. I'm sure a lot of people in the comments are going to be upset or say I'm allergic to fun, but who cares? This is just my personal opinion and experience with this movie. It's not the worst thing I've ever seen, but I didn't really enjoy it all that much either. Originally, I was going to slam a fat 3 out of 10 on this movie, but after sitting through it all again and disliking it less, I'm willing to slide the score up a little bit. So I'm just gonna go ahead and give the Minecraft movie a very mediocre score of 5 out of 10.